We are thrilled to welcome Karim Dimechkie to our author spotlight today. His debut novel, Lifted by the Great Nothing, has been chosen as one of Oprah's best books of the spring. So nice to have you with us, Karim, and that's huge. This is your first book. Oprah already knows who you are.
Yeah, it's pretty flattering.
Pretty huge praise, and we're going to get into the press. You've received excellent reviews already, but I just want to hear more about the book and the plot. What's the story about?
Yeah, it's about this boy named Max, who we follow from age 12 to 26 as he's being raised by his Lebanese immigrated father, a single parent, and who Max just absolutely adores. But as the book slowly reveals, his father has quite the elaborate secret life. And as much as Max tries to ignore lies that start surfacing in his father's narrative, there's one monumental lie that comes crashing down on him, and it's just too big to ignore. And this spins him away from his father and on this sort of misadventure into Europe and the Middle East in search of this truth that's been kept from him, and the result of which has pretty heavy consequences on Max's current life in America, in New Jersey. Yeah.
So what inspired you to write this story? What's your history? Does it tie into any of the book?
Yeah, I mean, factually, no. But in terms of the like emotional plot, I definitely would say like my whole life is in that book.
Okay.
But it was actually a writing prompt in this writing class I was taking, where I was just supposed to write one page, like kind of a voicey piece, and I wrote that. And the teacher, now a mentor, said, like, keep going with this. Let's see, like,
this is good stuff.
There's some energy here.
Yeah.
So I kept going, and I thought I was writing a short story that was kind of getting out of hand. And about like 80 pages later, I was like, no, I think I'm writing.
It was no longer a short story.
No, yeah.
That's great.
So it was about 3 years in the writing, and. Yeah, that's the weird part. It's such a private and personal little bubble that you exist in for those 3 years, and then push it off into the universe.
Was that hard to suddenly put yourself out there for the first time?
It's pretty vulnerable, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's been received well so far, so that's like a real
You're very
few moment.
modest in saying it's been received well, because we have the Paris Review called it challenging, funny, sharp, and frank. Publishers Weekly says you write without restraints. You just had an amazing review on NPR where they said the book captured their attention completely. NPR, Oprah, we mentioned at the beginning. I mean, how are you? It must be excellent. How are you doing this that you're getting such great press so fast?
It's been surreal, yeah.
It's got to be shocking.
It's totally, it just kind of takes the wind out of you. And it feels good. I mean, that's the short answer. And then the ticket is to try to slowly get back to work on the new novel.
Yeah.
And
so what's next after this? And this is going to be hard to top after your debut to get such running out of the gates. What's next after this one?
I've got the first draft of a second novel down.
Okay.
And so now it's going to be like a couple years of revision and editing. Like with this first book, I wrote about like 800 pages in the first 9 months, and the next like 2 years was just about culling it down and figuring out what the story was, really.
Yeah, and to jump in a little bit more, you tackle some pretty weighty topics, and that's why it's getting so much attention, right?
That's part of it, yeah. Yeah, I was terrified because in the first draft, I really just followed my nose and let my instincts decide what I was interested in. But then once you've got a first draft down, you have to think about what someone else might think or what their experience might be. And so that's when I saw, because the book talks about immigration, sexuality, race in America, single parenting. And so, yeah, the challenge was like, A, do I have the right to talk about these things that aren't all my experiences, obviously? And B, am I going to upset people? And the answer was yes to both. And I think that's okay, though. I think it's okay and maybe even preferable to write a book that challenges a little bit.
And that's why you're getting such praise. Where can people find you and get the book?
So I've got a website. It's karimdimechkie.com. But otherwise, you can get on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. IndieBound is a cool option because it plugs you into your local bookstores, and Powell's Books.
All right. Such a pleasure to have you in Low
Likewise.
Country Live.
Thanks
Any
so much for
guesses
having
as to
me.
when the second book's going to come out? I know a lot of people are going to be anticipating.
I don't want to jinx myself, but I'd say like in a year and a half or two.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank
you
you
again for being here. And again, the book, Lifted by the Great Nothing. Go ahead and check it out. The reviews, as we said, are awesome on this. So
Thank you so
definitely
much.
a good read. And don't go away. Tom has a look at your weekend weather coming up next.